Hi, this is AP Stedham of AP As We See It Live in Atlanta, Georgia at the 2025 SEC Football Media Days with our very special guest to discuss the University of Alabama Crimson Tide. And our guest is?
I'm Joe Gaither, BamaCentral.com. We're with Alabama Crimson Tide on SI.
Hey, Joe, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Joe, I'm looking at the quarterback situation at Alabama. Ty Simpson seems to be the candidate to be the starter at the moment. What would you like to say about the quarterback situation at Alabama?
Well, I think that Alabama fans and really everyone is concerned about what will become of the starting quarterback, but the comments haven't changed from last spring. We ended spring practice, and they said if Ty Simpson, or if we play a game tomorrow, then Ty Simpson's going to be the starter. That was said again today. I think he's going to have every opportunity to lead the Crimson Tide this season, and by the end of that Florida State game, I think people are going to be really excited about Ty Simpson being that starting quarterback.
Joe, you had some thoughts about the second string and the third string. Would you really reveal that to our audience?
Yeah, I think that really if Ty Simpson struggles, then I think Keelan Russell is probably going to get your first opportunities to play quarterback, and because I think he is a dynamic playmaker. We saw his arm talent in the spring, and we saw, I think, a little bit of his ability to process and fearlessness at 8A. He did throw an interception in that modified practice, but I think it was a throw that he thought, I can make this throw, and he's just got to figure some things out. I think I'm really excited about Keelan Russell and what he can do if he gets a chance to play.
And Austin Mack, that transferred from University of Washington, California native, as the third option.
Yeah, Austin Mack, we remember him last year for making that great touchdown pass to Rico Scott, and I think Austin Mack has a ton of arm talent as well, and obviously towers over everybody, 6'6" or so. He's all that they say in the building is how hard he works. I think that with a little more time, a little more seasoning, that Austin Mack can be a real football player as well, and you're looking forward to the coming year. After 2025, I think you're going to have a real quarterback battle on your hands between Mack and Russell.
That offensive line, they must play much better because the run game has suffered the last few years.
Absolutely. The last couple of years, especially really Saban's last year, it was not up to snuff. It was not up to Alabama standards running the football. And so you're really looking at the three returners, Caden Proctor, Parker Brailsford, and Jaden Roberts, to play well and really integrate your two new offensive linemen at left guard and at right tackle. You're probably going to be Wilkin Formby getting the first crack at right tackle, but they've been pretty coy, just like quarterback, pretty coy about who's going to play left guard, whether it be the Texas A&M transfer, Cam Dewberry, or whether it be Ola Salinan, or even last year's Michigan State transfer, Gino Vandemark. Today I asked Caden Proctor, how's it going with the left guard? And he mentioned them all, and so he really didn't give me a whole lot of who it's going to be, but it's going to be important to get those guys on the same page early, both protecting a new quarterback, but two, establishing a running game that takes pressure off that quarterback. If you can have a running game, hand the ball off to a backfield that's really, really talented, and get the quarterback into positive down and distances and take some pressure off of them. I think that in itself will really help the Alabama offense.
And the short yardage.
Yeah, well, it's short yardage. I'm excited about Richard Young, and I think Daniel Hill out of Mississippi is going to be a real factor this year in the Alabama backfield. Obviously, Jam Miller's probably going to be your first running back, and they brought in Dreeland Washington. But power running with Richard Young and Daniel Hill, I think, is going to be a real factor this season. And I think it's going to force defenses to kind of declare their hands a little bit early and allow the quarterback to kind of, get you into better positions. Is the box stacked? We'll check to a pass play. Is the box open? We'll run the football. And I think that will really, really open things up for the Alabama offense.
The wide receiver room, Ryan Williams and company, the sensational freshman, I think that's the strength of the offense. Give us a few notes about the wide receiver core.
Absolutely. The wide receiver core obviously gets all the headlines with Ryan Williams. He's right there on the cover of the new college football video game. I've got it on my little play box of myself. So he's getting all the notoriety, and he's all over your social medias and such. But I think that Jeremy Bernard's going to be a real player and maybe even the more complete wide receiver. I really think about the 2021 wide receiver core where Jamison Williams made all the big plays down the field, and maybe that's going to be Ryan Williams. But John Mechie was a real technician underneath, running all kinds of and always open for Bryce Young that year. I think Jeremy Bernard can fill that role. It's going to be a different style offense, but I think he can fill a John Mechie type technician where he's a real route runner, and every time Ty Simpson needs to get the ball out, it's going to be Jeremy Bernard. And then you've got a big play receiver in Isaiah Horton, transfers in from Miami, big-bodied guy. I think he really embodies what Kalen DeBoer wants out of the wide receiver room. And you've got a true freshman that I think is going to be a little factor as well, Latsier Brooks out of New Jersey. I think he's going to be a playmaker as far as getting him the ball in really, really short passes and letting him work. So really, Ty Simpson just has to, or whoever the quarterback is, just has to distribute the football to these playmakers and let them be the stars that we all think they are.
A couple of Texas players, they revealed that the Washington offense was the most complex, and that's, of course, Kalen DeBoer with Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinator that's come down from Seattle to be in Tuscaloosa this season. So I think that's a good sign for Alabama that this offense will not have trouble scoring points, and it will make it easier for any quarterback who's in that starting position.
That Washington offense had two 1,000-yard wide receivers and a 1,000-yard running back. And I think that really Ryan Grubb's ability to scheme things open and put defenses in complex positions is going to make things easier on whoever that quarterback is, likely Ty Simpson. I think Ty just has to really be able to read what the defense is showing him, check into a good play, and let the talent around him really execute things well. And Alabama's offense will be fine. Last year, you operated out of the bottom end of the playbook a lot based on Jalen Milroe's skill sets. Not that Jalen Milroe is a bad quarterback, but he could only do so many things in the passing game. He could
limited.
Exactly. He could do anything you want in the running game, but the passing game was limited, and I think that jammed the offense up, especially later in the year. I think Ty can run a little bit, but he's going to be a much more efficient passer, and that's going to open up the entire playbook and allow Ryan Grubb to kind of manipulate what he wants to do to other defenses.
You like a freshman tight end, Joe, possibly being redshirted but maybe playing a few games.
Yeah, the tight end is going to be an interesting position this year because Josh Cuevas is going to get going to be your starter. But they brought in a tight end from California, Caleb Edwards, who I think is going to be an electric playmaker once he gets a chance on the field. But tight end's a hard position to jump up a level. We see rookie tight ends in the NFL take a couple of years, and freshman tight ends. I mean, even Brock Bowers took a little bit of time to get going at Georgia, even though how special he was. I like Caleb Edwards a lot for the way that he can get down the field, and he'll probably get into some games this season, but he's a summer enrollee, so that also puts him a little bit behind the development. So I would look for him to probably redshirt and then be a real factor in next year's offense.
Deontay Lawson, the linebacker, he's probably the leader of that defense maybe at that position, play calling and those types of things. So who else would you like to mention on the defensive line? And then the secondary is loaded.
The secondary is absolutely loaded, but we'll start with the defensive line. I'm really excited about James Smith. I think he got some opportunities late last season, as with Jordan Renaud. But James Smith, he's going to play right next to his old Carver Montgomery teammate in Quay Russon. I think both those guys are going to kind of push each other to go make plays on the defense. And really, the defense came along so well last year. Started a little slow, trying to transition into the Kane Womack system, but towards the end of the year was really, really, really efficient and effective getting after teams, getting into the backfield, and disrupting the other team. I think they led the SEC in turnovers caused, and so that's a great sign going forward, especially considering how many players you got back. You could have lost Lawson to the draft, but his injury kind of brings him back. Yes. You could have lost LT Overton to the draft as well. He comes back to play the bandit role. He led the team in pressures last year. You got to turn those pressures into sacks this year. Damani Jackson you could have lost as well, but he returns at the cornerback position. And Keon Sabb comes back from a broken foot after a great start to the year. He was 5-6 games in playing with his hair on fire, and people thought he was going to be a top-end draft pick, but breaks his foot, so you luckily get him back. And really, Bray Hubbard is going to bring the wood out of the back end of the defense. I think this defense has a chance to be probably the best defense in the whole country.
In the country, not the conference, the country.
Well, it's going to be them and Texas, in my opinion. Texas, and Georgia has a lot of younger players as well. Right. But I think that Alabama and Texas are probably your preseason kind of favorites to lead to be the best defense in the country. And I like Alabama's chances.
Kalen DeBoer this year, the quarterback, they'll have options. I don't think he'll stay with one. I think you agree with me on that point. If the quarterback cannot get the ball in the end zone for the offense, he's going to make a change. And You think
Oh, yeah.
Keelan Russell before Austin Mack?
Oh, yeah, I do think Keelan is going to end up being ahead of Austin Mack on the depth chart. And I think last year's loyalty that we saw to Jalen Milroe, basically never pulling him out of any situation, is not going to be as strong to Ty Simpson. Not that he's not loyal to Ty Simpson, but I think if Ty is 4 drives into this Florida State game and you haven't moved the football, I think he'll be willing to make a change. Absolutely.
I would. Why not?
Absolutely. And then we think about last year late, Alabama really with the season on the line against Oklahoma, Jalen Milroe played a lackluster game and never got pulled out. I think if the season's on the line this year at Auburn and Ty Simpson's just not really playing well, then he will end up making a change. I do think that Ty's going to hold the job throughout the year, but I don't think his leash is nearly as long as Jalen Milroe's was last season.
I say they're all on scholarship, Joe.
Yes, exactly.
So anything else you want to bring up about the kicking game or Kalen DeBoer's second year of coaching?
Well, the kicking game is what I'm really concerned with, AP. I asked him today, how are you managing the special teams? Because you lost long snapper Nealon Hibbett, you lost punter James Burnup, you lost kicker Graham Nicholson, so you're integrating 3 new players at specialist positions, and I think everybody's focused on quarterback, as you should. But if you can't kick a field goal or you can't effectively punt the football, what's that going to do to your offense? Are you going for it on 4th and 7 right at midfield? Are you going for it on 4th and 4 when you should be in field goal range? And what kind of pressure does that put on Ty Simpson? They've brought in some transfers. They've got Connor Talty, who's been on the roster for, this will be his 3rd season to place kick, but you really haven't seen much out of him either. So what will you end up doing at the specialist positions? I think that's probably your most underrated question leading into fall camp. Everybody's asking about quarterback, and he should be.
Yes, he should be.
But to forget that the fact that you don't have any specialists, anybody to kick the football, punt, kick, or kick off, those are big questions that need to be answered.
Tight ball games, I'm always checking on that kicker, and I always tell everybody, it's that day, that moment. I've seen kickers 100% through the season. Tight ball game, they miss.
Yeah, you're on the road in Athens. You're on the road over in South Carolina, Williams-Brice Stadium. A little sandstorm is playing and getting in your head. I think the road matchups this season are very difficult, and Alabama struggled on the road last season. So you want a kicker who's got a steel trap in the mind, who's ready to, yeah, coach, I got it. Don't worry about it. Just line me up, and we'll put it down the pipes. But so I'm very concerned, honestly, about Alabama's kicking situation.
Hey, Joe, I think you covered it, bro. Thank you so much, and we really appreciate it. And this is AP Stedham Live from Atlanta, Georgia, the 2025 SEC Football Media Days. Thank you so much, Joe.
Thanks, AP. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.